Mike Wittgenstein, experto en experiencia de cliente, ex y visionario en IBM, ha ayudado a líderes empresariales de todo el mundo a diferenciar sus marcas, mejorando de manera drástica la experiencia de sus clientes. Es un conferencista y consultor destacado.
I'm Mike Wittgenstein, the founder and managing partner at Storyminers, a story, strategy, and customer experience consultancy founded in 2002. I've got a little bit of background to share with you as well. I've spent about 2 years in Latin America as an exchange student and also as a business person. I speak a little Spanish, a lot of Portuguese, and I have a real affinity for the culture. I love the calor humano in Latin America. So I'm going to try to adjust my presentation to be super pertinent to the kinds of situations that I think I know you face. So here goes. I was asked to speak at the ADEN Management Conference about the future of customer experience. And after I did some work with some colleagues and a little bit of scanning, one of the things that I found out surprised me. It was that the future of customer experience is really the today of customer experience. We used to talk about things with a very long-term idea of what they were, and now customer experience can turn on a dime. We've seen it as a result of the pandemic. As a result of the pandemic, one of the things that's popping into our common consciousness is this idea that we're farther behind and that things are terrible. Everyone's feeling a sense of loss. It could be personal loss from the death of someone that they love. It could be loss of something that they still have but they fear losing. And there's a great amount of uncertainty about the future. So that's the negative side of being in a time of immense change. The positive side is about feeling hope and feeling that things can be better. Most of this presentation is going to be focused on the latter. And I personally believe that as we have choices about things, we can look kind of this way toward loss and fear, or we can look to this way to hope and things being better, and it's our choice. So let's make more of that happen, especially as we think as customer experience designers about what the future can be. So some of the things that are different right now that we've all probably felt are that we're very unsure about what's coming next. And we know for certain that nobody is certain. We used to go to people in positions of power and ask them what's next, and they would tell us. Most of them have proven that they don't know. And that leaves us feeling a little bit unnerved. Part of me feels a little unnerved, and part of me is extremely excited about that, because left to their own devices, we can come up as a human collective on planet Earth with some amazingly good ideas. What makes now different than times in the past are that information travels so quickly, and so far it's rather unfettered. It's not tied down. So the information's flowing faster than the disease. Ideas that happen in China are being picked up in Nicaragua. From Israel, they're going to Argentina. It's amazing how quickly we can learn from each other and how open we are to do that. So everybody's in a pivot right now. Even if your business is not being affected by the pandemic directly, everyone around you is. So you have to respond. When customers' needs change, businesses have to respond differently, and all the businesses that support that business need to adjust as well. There's a penchant for action today. People want things to happen now versus know that something may happen in the future. So that means that ideation, innovation, creativity have to be focused on the things that we have around us and the things that we can do immediately. There's not a lot of time for tremendous amounts of planning. So if you'll steer your customer experience efforts in the direction of what have I got now that makes a big difference, you'll be well on your way to making a big difference. The last thing I wanted to share with you is this notion. It's that story always wins. We live in a world where going viral is like the best thing that can happen to a musician, an artist, or even a teenage girl who likes to talk about makeup on the internet. And going viral means that you've got a really great story, that you've captured the attention and the imagination of folks, that you're answering the question that literature and art and drama and music do, which is, how do I live better? So a really good story begets an amazing experience, and an amazing experience begets a really good story. That's kind of the way it all works together. We have a few different horizons that we need to talk about when we talk about the future of customer experience. As I just mentioned, some of these are immediate. They happen in days. Some of them happen in months. Certain things do take a little bit of planning, like updating some complicated software systems and things like that. And we can still dream about the future in the term of years. But let's take a look at what those mean individually. So when it comes to looking at things day by day, in my opinion, the best customer experience practice is to respect people first. Talk to them. Take a second to ask, how are you doing? Look at them the way they see themselves, not as you see them. Don't look and see a statistic or a market segment. Look and see a person who has a family, desires, dreams, and things to do that day. And secondly, things that we can focus on today are ingenuity. It's that creativity and innovation that lets people work with what they already have to develop all kinds of new solutions. For example, in the neighborhoods around my house, a lot of the restaurants within days of shelter-in-place orders had already done their deals with Uber Eats, Grubhub, and DoorDash. Those are food delivery services, to make sure that they can continue to keep their kitchens busy. So amazing stuff. When we look at things in terms of months, it gets really, really interesting. And this is where we as individuals can start to have some fun and make a really big difference. For example, in-home studios are becoming very popular. We're able to host all kinds of meetings, share content, be creative, sometimes even better than when we were in the office. Virtual presentations are going through virtual trade shows are going through a similar renaissance. The first one that I can remember was done about 10 years ago, and it was based on the model of a traditional trade show. It wasn't a lot of fun. There were a lot of buttons to push. The screens were small. But now things have moved really fast, and they include virtual reality components, and they're starting to move away from the notion of what is a trade show and start to deliver other kinds of value, like meeting with suppliers, learning faster. And the other thing about the trade shows is that they usually don't last very long. They're a day or two. But virtual trade shows can go on for a long time. They can go on for years, and they don't have to have a shelf life. They can always be new. Let's take a look at two more. One of my favorites is hybrid personal shopping. Now, some of you may think that personal shopping is a really cool thing to do. Some of you may think it's a luxury. Some may think it's stupid. Whatever. The key word is hybrid. Let's use Nordstrom as an example. Nordstrom is a luxury or high-end retailer that usually anchors in destination malls in only the largest cities in its market areas. And they're known for great quality products backed by wonderful guarantees and amazingly good service. They have some of the best retail trained people in the industry. They purchased a company called Birchbox, which did curated by a stylist, subscription delivery of all kinds of things to your home. So they've got that angle. And they also have personal shoppers in the store to help you out as well. Now imagine what that would be like if that came together. And as one customer, you can have one person helping you in any modality that you like. That kind of flexibility is what customers want more of. Businesses are not designed to do that yet. I still have stores that I go to when they ask me, when I walk in with a package, did you buy that online or did you buy that here or at another store? Because their systems can't accommodate the change, so I have to go through extra work. I hate that. I think we're going to see more and more hybrid service. And by hybrid, I don't just mean online or in-store. I also mean by robot, with automated intelligent assistant, with virtual reality, and so on. There are lots of factors to that. The last one to share is telemedicine. The interesting thing on the uptake for telemedicine is that it's easy for the doctors. They like it. So they're buying in droves. They love to spend more time golfing. That's an old story. I don't know if all doctors golf. But they are enjoying the flexibility, the freedom, the efficiency, and the earnings that it brings them. And it's great for the office because the doctors aren't running late as much. It's easier for patients. Appointments can be achieved on a shorter turnaround and all that kind of stuff. So whenever you've got a situation where you can make the customer experience better, engage employees more, and raise the bottom line, you've got a winning design. When we look at things in terms of years, there are a few really important trends going on. One's the notion of artificial intelligence. There are all kinds of sci-fi pictures and ideas about that, but basically it's about pattern matching. Machines get smarter the more of something they see. Show it 10 million images of a cat, it can tell the difference between a cat, a dog, and a raisin. It's pretty straightforward. But where artificial intelligence becomes really helpful for you in your role as customer experience designers, leaders, etc., is that pattern matching is all about knowing sooner. When your customer experience can be designed to know sooner what a customer needs, you can deliver what they're looking for more quickly, and you can do it at lower cost. And that's good for everyone. So I think we're going to see more and more artificial intelligence both on the business side as well as on the customer side. Artificial reality is coming to the world of work as well. Virtual reality. We have it in gaming right now. We have it in architecture where you can walk around a space and see what it's like before it's designed. But imagine being able to troubleshoot an engine, fix an air conditioner or a lawnmower, do remote auto repair. This is going to really change customers' expectations. It's going to change the way you do the work, the processes. It's going to change your profit margins, probably in a very positive way. Customer value is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I believe that for years, so many people in business have been trained to make money. It's all about the bottom line, sell more, your cost should be lower. Customers, on the other hand, don't like that. Think about the times that you've been cheated or abused by a company that's trying to serve you. They won't take a return. They won't honor a warranty. They won't answer the phone, or they make you charge for it. Those aren't things that create value for us. They do the exact opposite. If companies would take a look, and I think they are starting to do this, they look first at how much value can they create for their customers with the resources available to them. Then they figure out how to make the most amount of money. That is a much more winning proposition. In fact, the research supports it. For the last 10 years, we've seen a number of articles and peer-reviewed studies come out that talk about who's come into the Fortune 500 and who's dropped out. The more customer-centric brands, the more adaptive ones are the ones that are on the rise and doing extremely well. So think about your customers' value before you think about your process and your profits. Don't ignore your profits. Don't ignore your process. But from a design perspective, put what people need first, because you'll get to the end game faster. Because what people want is the end game. And if you're in business to make money, you've got to do one thing first. You've got to deliver value for your customers. Making money is a prize that you get. It's a stat, a measurement that happens after you've met their needs. If you're off the mark, you could be out the door and out of business. The last thing that I see is personalized everything. We're starting to see personalized services. We've had personalized email for a long time. We now call it junk mail. But in the very near future, I believe you will see personalized television, commercial free, just the things that you want. Or if you want commercials, they'll only be for the things that you're interested in buying then. The same with education. Students won't have to take as many classes that they hate or don't like. They'll be able to pick modes of instruction or even teachers that match their learning styles best. At conferences, you won't have to sit through long meetings that don't matter to you to get to the content that you like. You'll be able to get just what you need in any order that you like. Think about it from the music business. We used to have to listen to records in the order in which the songs were printed on the album. Along comes the iPod, and it gives us freedom of place. We can do it anywhere. And freedom of order. We can do it in any order that we want because we're not limited to what was pressed on the disc by a music producer. That's what people are looking for. They want more personalized everything. The most important thing I can share with you today about the future of customer experience is for you to become a master storyteller. It is definitely your very best tool. What you're looking at here is a project that we did for McDonald's when I was e-visionary at IBM. Looking at the digital drive-thru of the future, there are so many moving parts. There are people in operations and marketing and technology. There are cooks and chefs and OSHA requirements people. OSHA is the standards for safety in the United States. So What we did is we tried to give people the feeling of being there, which is what a story does. A story is an experience. So using storyboards and characters, we let people see what the experience of the future that we imagined and dreamed up might be while they were in that role. So we had one version of this for the girl with the yellow hair who's a friend invited to lunch, one for the person in the hat working at McDonald's in the international call center, not on premise, and we were able to talk people through what the experience was in great detail and really listen. So it was an amazing way to use story for that. The second one that we did was for a company called Transitions. Transitions is in the business of making glasses material, lenses that change color. They kind of polarize when you walk out in the sun. So they've got a much greater range of view, they've got a lot of attributes, but nobody knew about them. You know, even the folks we found out in our research that were working the front lines in the optical stores didn't really understand the product. So they said, we want to add retail to our marketing and communications mix. So we figured out that they needed a store, a training center, and a place to launch new products. So that's what we set out to build. The part that I want to share with you here are the little blue dots. The little blue dots on your screen indicate the details of the customer experience, the details of the story that make that experience come alive. Each dot on the picture represents a dot on the left which describes an action, an activity, a prop like an iPad or a tablet, or a conversation. So by detailing out the customer experience of the future, people could feel a part of it. And they could be the center of the story, which makes all the difference in the world. If you're telling stories about yourself, nobody really cares. If you're telling stories about others, people care a lot more. That's the secret, honest to God. And then this last one is for Walt Disney World. Walt Disney in 1957 had a very clear idea of what he wanted to do with his future empire. So he put it down on one piece of paper, and it looked something like this. I'll show it to you in a little bit greater detail here. It showed all the elements of the Disney world, and it created little lines of accountability, like this group owes something to that group, and this group owes something to that group. For example, if you'll let your eyes travel up to the top right, you'll see the word music. Move your eyes down 45 degrees down and to the left, and you'll see that it says helps kick off films, whether they're new or re-releases. And then if you'll go up in the opposite direction from creative talent of studio and theatrical films, you'll see that they provide interchange of stars to television. So here you've got music, TV, and theater and films all working together to build up the characters and to sell more Disney stories. So looking at the big picture, you can see how the theme parks, merchandise licensing, comics, magazines, and if you were to look at it from today's perspective, it would be hotels, additional theme parks, cruise lines, and most interestingly of all, Disney Plus, which is a subscription service that carries the Marvel, the Star Wars, the Disney, and all the other content for a monthly fee. And while the parks and the cruise lines have done terribly during pandemic, 55 million new subscribers from almost a standing start have been added, and that's recurring revenue. So what a smart way to work to creatively get out of a bad news situation. So starting today, each of you has 4 roles. I'm giving them to you. You're a storyteller, a strategist, an Imagineer, which is Disney's word, so use that sparingly or with permission, please, and you're an experienced designer. And what I'd like you to do is think through the challenges ahead of you from each of those 4 different perspectives. Imagine what it's like to tell the story. Imagine what the strategy should be and how you can engineer that using your imagination and your experience design to give people something that gives everybody more of what they want. That's absolutely the secret to making a head in this time. So I'd like to close with a few thoughts for you. The first one is whatever you do, however you do it, with whomever you do it, treat people with respect. Put people first, ahead of profits, ahead of process. Right now is a time to be about people. The brands that are customer-centric are doing better than the brands that aren't, and that was pre-pandemic, and that effect is amplified now and into the future. Create value for your customers and engage your employees first. When you're doing design work, how much value can you create for your customers? How much of their work can you do so that they start to feel that you're a better deal? Value for customers can be cash, time, emotions, all kinds of things. It could be self-esteem. It could be walking the tray in the fast service restaurant to the table. Normally you don't do that. Some restaurants do. And that makes you feel great when you're a mom with 2 or 3 kids, that you have to take care of at the same time. All those little things add up and really matter. And finally, and this is the most important advice I can give you if you're a storyteller, an Imagineer, a strategist, and an experienced designer, is leave room in your stories for others. Don't show off and go 110% of the way. Fact of the matter is, you don't know exactly what's needed no matter how smart you are or how much homework you do. You need interaction with real people, customers and employees, to let them put their imprint on, to let them share what they need. And it's through that process of participation that everyone's going to get really excited about being on board with your ideas. So make sure that others become the hero in your story. All right, my name is Mike Wittenstein. I work with Storyminers in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a pleasure to see you. I hope you've enjoyed this ADEN conference. I can't wait to hear all the other speakers, and thank you very much.